Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Sprocket. Today I'll be designing a casemate tank destroyer for one of my fictional countries named Drevania. I have done a couple of their vehicles already in general, but I've also done a couple of videos about this fictional country, so be sure to check them out. So first off, I start off with the hull, shaping it to size, deciding what I'm gonna do. Gotta make it a bit angled and kind of like a yag tie, I guess, or something like that. Angled at the front, and then cannon basically being in the middle of the casemate, and then at the back will be open. So I kind of struggled to find a shape or a design that I wanted for the breach, or basically where the breach would be, and where my custom mantlet's gonna go. So I kind of just sunk it into the tank, and then I would make a custom mantlet to fit into that, and then move on to the back and just extrude inwards to make it basically open at the back end where the crew would basically be. For the custom mantlet, or the breach basically, I take a cylindrical hull, rotate it, and then extrude or change the size of it to fit more or less to be realistic, and then I add a custom little mantlet at the front where I then add my gun. This thing will be using, I think, let's make it a 105mm howitzer, which is pretty good. This thing is basically going to be, I think, would be early World War II era, mid World War II era, so it would be a pretty nice gun at the time. So here I'm just basically making sure that the gun lines up correctly, and also the custom little mantlet I'm making for it. So when I eventually add with like later versions a muzzle brake, that the muzzle brake would actually line up correctly with the vehicle or the cannon. So now I just refine the shape of this hull or the tank, the casemate tank destroyer, and then add the crew members and then test it to see if everything is working correctly. So adjusting the angles of elevation and depression of the gun and seeing if it functions or not. Also adding the ammunition. As you can see, this thing's elevation angle is pretty high up. It's like I think 70 degrees, and yeah, it can fire quite a big arc, and also it can fire pretty decently downwards. Moving on to the mobility, I tried to make it so that it's pretty decently mobile for a casemate tank destroyer, because this fictional country's motto is basically, or doctrine is, to use speed and mobility and have decent firepower and protection. And this thing will also have pretty good frontal protection, because it's meant to take head-on hits from tanks, and also be able to hit other tank destroyers, and also be a bunker buster in general. I decide to make this little protective part at the mantlet, just so that simulates that basically a little piece of metal that moves up if the mantlet goes up to protect it, and also moves down when the cannon aims downwards. I also then do a bit of more refinement with the mantlet and the gun, and keep moving parts around and trying to get a better design or clean it up a bit. Then with the armor, like I said, this thing is going to be able to attack other tanks and tank destroyers and survive being hit by them, being frontally attacked and all. So the sides and the rear are basically going to be, it's going to stop machine guns, sort of. Well, the sides will, not the back because it's open. But yeah, so the sides will protect from heavy machine guns, but then the front will be protected even against quite large caliber guns that it would face at the time, which would be basically, I think, like a 75mm or a 76mm cannons. So it would basically be able to protect the front of the vehicle from those sorts of cannon fire. So now on to the process of doing some detailing of the tank. So basically just where you would add the hatches for the crew, viewports if needed, other things like antennas, lights, storage boxes and other equipment possibly that they would need, just to give this tank a bit more realistic look and some extra features it would probably need and to be a realistic tank. So yeah, adding a bunch of storage boxes and adding some extra tarps or whatever to make this thing be realistic. And here we have our tank, a little 105mm casemate tank destroyer slash howitzer slash bunker buster or whatever it would be need for. And I decided to name this thing the Spartan 105 after the 105mm cannon it has. It's just Spartan because it's a dangerous vehicle. But yeah, thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed the video and see you on the next one. Goodbye.